Strategies for taking mock CATs. I'm going to outline a simple video giving strategies for taking mock CATs. It's going to be slightly longish. I think we're looking at 9 to 10 minutes here. How should you plan your mock CAT series? For the last few weeks, how should you plan your CAT preparation? The last few weeks, your preparation should be determined by your mock CATs. Take a mock CAT, review that, identify the gap, fill the gap. That should be the plan. When we guys used to take CAT, this was back in 2000, 2001, and the entire preparation used to be only mock CAT driven. We would very grudgingly start preparing in August, very late. August of the year of CAT, not the year ago like how people are starting now. Sometimes I don't even understand that. We would start in August and we'd have about 90 days. Exam used to be in December back then. We would take 35 to 40 mock CATs. That's it, nothing else. Right? So, but we would take it very aggressively, we would take it very carefully, very intensely, review it very seriously. So, but we listen to the mock CATs. Right? Now these days I think people agonize over percentages and ratios and mixtures and races way more, because these topics somehow give them a feeling of having prepared for CAT on the day, but don't do enough of the overall. Take a mock CAT, see where you stand, review that, analyze that, build on that. That doesn't happen, at least not enough. And so you should take lots of mock CAT, keep that in mind. And this should be your preparation plan for your last stretch. This is very vital. Test taking rules, very simple. Do not prepare for all the topics, or do not plan to prepare for all the topics before CAT. A very important skill here that is you're building yourself for is your ability to leave questions. That will get built when you leave more questions. Very simple. Shouldn't feel bad about leaving a question. That will come. Going into the exam when you're not completely prepared helps. You can leave that. Plan to take at least 15 mock CATs prior to CAT. At least 15. Should take more. And they should all be intense. So no taking 2 sections over 2 days. No taking back-to-back mock CAT just to increase your count of mock CATs. No taking the leisurely, I'll do this happily attitude. None of that. Intensely 15 mock CATs. So you should get tired. Should get burnt out at the end of it. Right? I've taken lots of CATs. I've taken 5 or 6 CAT exams. Last time I took CAT, when I came out of the exam hall, I was tired. I just couldn't even drive back home. Right? And I don't, like, you can argue that I'm not taking this with pressure. And I took my first CAT in 2000 and finished my MBA. So I'm doing this to know about the paper. So there's not much pressure, but I'll be burnt out at the end of the exam. Right? So if you're not throwing enough into the CAT, you're not getting enough out of it. So you should be tired. You should be that intent and you get burnt out. Right? Otherwise, you're just kidding yourself. It's very silly. There's no such thing as too many tests. Take a lot of tests. Take from a lot of providers. Providers get their own flavors. And so you get used to one type of test. Somewhere sitting into what is called a 2IM test could be a 2IM flavor. But I would argue that we don't have that problem. But obviously I run this company, so I would say that. So you have to fend for yourself. So even if I'm saying that there is no 2IM flavor to our exam, you should say maybe I should try 2 different providers, 3 different providers. I hear so many stories of guys consistently cracking one mock CAT series and then getting an unspectacular score in actual CAT, because you're used to this, you're conditioned to this, you're not able to do something different. Right? Forget the percentiles. For the love of God, forget what percentile you score. It doesn't matter. In your mock CAT, nobody's going to give you a medal for scoring 97 percentile in the 4th mark criteria. Right? So it's very often a distraction. You get consumed by where your percentile is moving. You don't get enough value from the analysis. And you have the mock CAT series, a place where you try different things, where you build intensity. If you get carried away with the percentile, you're never going to do all this. And try different strategies. Try RC and LR first, RC before LR, LR before RC, DI before quant, all of that. You need to do that. That is what the mock CAT series is for. Right? What should I get from test analysis? Test analysis comes from 2 parts. Right? First one is, where are the knowledge gaps? Right? You learn something from a good quality mock CAT. And so not from, you learn something about the content itself. You learn something in number system, something beautiful in grammar. When you do a good mock CAT, you get caught out by a question, you should learn from that. If you don't review and fill those gaps, the question that you've got wrong, you should definitely see what the right answer is. Question that you have skipped, you must try it again and then see what the solution is. Right? You won't. There's lots of times where I hear this from our students who come back after the exam and say, "Sir, exactly same question, just the numbers were changed. From our mock CAT, it came exactly." And I'm thrilled to bits. And I said, "So that's one freebie question." And then that guy my student has a glum face and says, "Oh sir, I didn't attempt it. In mock CAT also I didn't attempt. Here also I didn't attempt." Like, what do? We can take the horse to the pond. That's all one can do. Keep in mind, the MockCat series is a wonderful tool to learn. The best questions sit in the MockCat, the best approaches, the best methods, the best solutions sit there. So you can learn from that. Don't lose sight of that, getting carried away with the strategy. Right? What is the second thing I get from it? Strategy changes. What kind of questions that you should be answering is, where am I making my errors? Why am I losing intensity? Why did I have that 12-minute spell where I didn't mark a single answer and I was not even not getting a solution, just had a huge concentration drop right in the middle of section 1. That can happen, that does happen, that shouldn't happen. Keep that in mind. Where are my errors coming? What times are my errors coming? When is fatigue playing a role? When is knowledge gap playing a role? Why did I not leave that question? Those are the questions that you should analyze. Right? For the first few MockCats, for every MockCat in fact, keep one simple takeaway in mind. For any test you do, in each section you should select 3 questions that you should have attempted but ended up not attempting, and 3 questions that you should not have tried but ended up trying. Both of these are important questions. So if you've attempted 14 questions, you should say question numbers 3, 7 and 11 that I attempted, I should have skipped. Question number 28, 29, 30 that I didn't even get time to see, I should have definitely gone there and tried them. If you work on it bit by bit, block by block, your question selection will improve. And that is the single most important determinant as far as this exam is concerned. How do you select your best questions? That is important. And so work on that. 3 questions per section. That should have been in but did not come in. That should have been out but ended up trying. Both of those bits. Simplify the targets. I'm going to give you a very simple outline on what you should be shooting for when you take this exam. Be flexible. This is not cast in stone. Right. As far as quant is concerned, in round 1, try to attempt about 7 to 8 in math and 1 DI set. It takes you about 11 questions. You get all of them right, that is 93, 94th percentile, very easily. In round 2, you should try to do 1 more DI set, 3 to 4 more in math. You get that at a 99 plus. Anything more than this is bonus. And you don't need to answer 28 questions to crack this exam. Very often the guys who answer 28 don't crack this exam. Okay. In verbal, what should be the corresponding strategy? Do 1 RC, 1 LR and 5 to 6 from the mixed bag in round 1. In round 2, 1 more RC, 1 more LR. Anything else is bonus. Round 1 will take you to 92, 93, maybe better than that. Round 2 will take you to 99. Right? And in any paper, in almost any paper, if you look at the paper at the end of it, you will be able to find these questions. So you should look back at the paper and say, why did I not achieve these 2 simple targets? What is going wrong with my question selection that I'm not able to achieve this baseline target? And that should be your question as far as the strategy is concerned. Right? Don't shoot for attempting 29 questions, not required, and sometimes it puts more pressure. Don't shoot to get 99.99%, it will happen. If you plan well, if you do the exam well, if you execute well, it will happen. You don't have to chase that. Keep that in mind. This should be your starting plan. How should I go for it? The targets setting, question selection part has to be dynamic. You should listen to the paper. If the paper is too tough, you should say, look, maybe 12 questions will get me 99%. You should do that. Right? A very good parallel, and a parallel I keep mentioning to my students often, is that of cricket. Very often when the team goes out to bat, they don't know whether you can score, I'm talking about a 1-day match, whether you can score 270 on the track or 320 or 220. They play with the first 6 or 7 overs. It's a very easy track. Go bam, 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 go to 320. It's a tough track. Play slowly, hit in the last 10 overs, go to 250. So you should be able to listen to the paper, just like how these guys listen to the pitch. That idea is important, right? And question approach has also to be dynamic. Sometimes one extreme is to do 1 question at a time, do the first 30, leave it at that. The other extreme is to see all 30 questions, select your best 15 and try attempting that. Neither is very good. The first one, you're giving up the chance of finding some freebies in the end. The second one, you're wasting 12 minutes, 14 minutes in just selecting. It has to be dynamic. You have to keep playing around and then saying, look, I'm going well, I don't need to do this time consuming question. I'll do everything else and then come back to this. It has to be dynamic. Keep that in mind. And once you get a feel for the paper, you should know what you're going to attempt, but you don't need to attempt in that order. Don't get stuck with a troubling RC or LR in the last 10 minutes. The pressure would kill you. You have to front load your RCs, LRs and DIs. Do the simpler questions or do 1 question at a time in the end. So you're not worrying about 4 questions together. It has to be, you have to plan that when you're doing the paper. And then in terms of taking your mock CATs, how does the process go? What do I do? This is usually the process scene. The first 2-3 mock CATs, you're happy. You're not worrying so much about strategies and plans and execution and ideas and all of that. Doing one question at a time, attempting lot of questions, and your scores are a little volatile. Right? The two things that you can observe is you're doing one question at a time. The error rate usually is high when you start, but you're doing this with a certain joy. Then you start analyzing and you think about strategy, you think about RCs and LRs and DIs, how many should I do, when should I do, what time am I doing. Then your accuracy improves, but the joy factor comes down. You're more anxious, you're continuously thinking about strategy, your score still remains volatile. You're nervous and agitated. This happens usually. Does not mean that's a wrong process, but it is just that you've been consumed by thinking about the strategy, but you're no longer doing one question at a time happily. Right? Final stage, you're doing your last few mock CAT, you should have extremely high level of intensity when you're doing that one question. If you've decided to do this question, you should throw everything into that question and not worry about where am I going, how have I done so far, where will I stand with this kind of percentile, how is my attempt rate, none of that. If said you're going for that question, try that question, answer that question, mark the answer choice, then go to the next question. Every now and then you should take stock. You should be calm and composed enough to spend 15 seconds seeing where you are. But when you're going for that question, you should be throwing everything into it. So it's a mixture of being intense when you do the question and calm and relaxed when you're taking stock. And to give you again a cricket parallel, your sense of the overall paper should be like a Dhoni or a Javed Miandad or a Bevan when they are chasing. They know exactly what needs to be done. They know which bowler they're going to hit for 6. They know which bowler they're going to avoid, how to shield the other. Everything is running in the back of their mind. When you're doing one question, you should be instinctive. You should retain that thing like a Virendra Sehwag. It doesn't matter who is bowling. There's a half volley that goes to the boundary. And so, in that 1 minute, in that one delivery, it is just that one delivery. Doing that one question, you're doing just that one question. You should be intense in that one question. And the greatest thing that differentiates good batsmen from average ones is their ability to switch on and be in the moment for the delivery, and then switch off and think about everything else after that, so that they maintain their calmness. That's how you should be. At the question, be intense. At the overall paper, be more relaxed. You need to find that balance, which is when your final stage of preparation, you'll be calm and intense. That is very important for cracking this exam. Best wishes for CAT. Hope this is useful.